which is the meeting between Yaakov and Lavan in the mountains called the Gilad Mountains. But leading up to this subject, of course, is the ordeals and long, difficult life of Yaakov Avinu. I want to just mention some digits, some numbers that we covered before. The first one was the age of 63, and then the age of 77, and then the age of 91. Yaakov Avinu had to flee from his brother, Esav, because of the danger at the age of 63. No family, no wife, no children. When we go through the years of Yaakov Avinu, when we're told when he passes away at the end of the book of Bereshit, and he's going to be taken away from Mitzrayim to be buried, as he swears his children, don't bury me here. Bury me in my father's home in the land of Israel, in the land of God. And then finally he's buried in Marat HaMachpelah in the city of Hebron, correct? Okay. That happens at an older age. 14 years, we don't find and understand where his life is as far as studying the Chumash, the text, the written Torah is concerned. And therefore, we revert to the oral Torah, Chazal, and Rashi brings it, that in order to prepare himself for the meeting of living in the Galut with cheats and liars and so on, he goes and learns as if Torah, 14 years in the famous Beit Midrash of Shem and Aver. What exactly is the syllabus and what exactly are the books that they're studying? We don't know, but it does make a difference. Yaakov is strengthening his faith, strengthening his inner powers in order to deal what it's going to be, which he doesn't know. And of course, all of us, when we meet up with the unknown, it's the hardest thing to do. Okay? I don't know what fear or phobia you had the first day you arrived in Machon Meir. When Shmuel wrote me an email from Poland, I want to come and study in Machon Meir. I don't know. When you did arrive, you're a little nervous and you didn't know what to expect. You know, is Menachem Listman a terrible person? Will he bite you at the interview and this or that? Always the unknown is a difficult matter to meet up with. Everyone agrees, I assume. So too for me. Okay, when I sit down with a new student and I'm screening him or interviewing him, I'm also a little, I don't know what I'm meeting up with. You don't never know. And of course, we meet up with the best tzaddikim in the world. After 14 years of studying Torah as if Musar, Emunah, at the age of 77, Yaakov Avinu arrives on the scene abroad. And there he marries 2 wives. It cost him a lot of money. Yaakov, we assume or understand, was very poor. And according to the Midrash, he was mugged by Eliphaz, the son of Esav. All his assets were taken away. All he was left with a makel, with a staff. That can be supported by the text at another time. And at the age of 77, he starts looking for marriage, and he finds the woman that he wants to marry. We know that he's outsmarted, he's tricked by Lavan. And now for 14 years, the price and value of his employment, he's now married to 2 wonderful, righteous women that are going to be the builders, the components of the building of the nation of Israel. Lavan, shtei banot, Shem echad Leah, Shem aktana Rachel. He wants to marry Rachel, he's outsmarted, and he pays 14 years. That means at the age of 91, the culmination of his payment has ended. So we learned yesterday, he turns to his father-in-law. I have to start establishing some sort of financial basis for my family. And I need to go. It's very nice that he's basically asking permission, yet an agreement is entered into, and he gives the terms of the agreement. Lavan is willing to go for it. And now, how many years have passed? Anyone know? Another 6 years have passed, which leads up to our section. He is, on the one hand, independent, and he's making earnings by being a shepherd. Yet, as we're going to learn from his speech, negotiating with his father, after his father-in-law catches up to him in the Gilad Mountains. And just for your knowledge, can anyone point to we'll get up to in a moment. You're going to be thinking where on the map is the area called the Gilad Mountains, and get to that for a moment. Gentlemen, for 6 years, he's making earnings, yet we're going to see that he's being outsmarted and very difficult times for him. And remember, why doesn't he go back? Didn't he learn in Rabbi Tzvi Fishman's class, which is going to be tonight, about the importance of Aliyah? And tonight the topic is parents and Aliyah, and parents and children and Aliyah. Of course, Yaakov Avinu knows about Aliyah. He spoke with the what's it called, the Misad Panim, and he spoke with the Nefesh B'Nefesh organization and so on. However, who remembers why he can't go back? Why doesn't Yaakov have a green light to go back? His mom has not called him. I'm very simplifying it. But his mother told him, as long as I don't send a postcard to you, you can't leave because the coast is not clear. Why is the coast not clear? Because maybe your brother's still angry to kill you. That's the clear instructions, the end of the former parsha. As long as he doesn't hear, he doesn't go back. What he does want to do is build some sort of level of financial stability, independence to feed how many mouths?
15?
17?
14.
Or 16. How many are they?
11.
He, 4 wives is 5, 11 boys is 16, and Dinah is 17. You know the grocery bill for 17 people for a month? Do you know that? He needs stability. So we saw in the beginning of chapter Lamed Aleph in front of you 31, suddenly God appears to Yaakov, but it's the same time that there's fear that Lavan might endanger his life. Because maybe Lavan is fed up with the blessing that he's getting, that Yaakov is getting, and that Lavan is not getting. So we're now at a new situation. God appears to Yaakov Avinu, and he gives him a green light, and he commands him in verse 3, Vayomer Hashem Yaakov Shuv, return el eretz avotecha u'lemoletecha v'yeimach. And now he's in a predicament. What does he do? On the one hand, his mother hasn't called him. On the other hand, he knows that right now Lavan's complexion, Lavan's attitude to Yaakov is not the same thing. There could be something. And you know what? You can't trust this man. It could be dangerous to you. And now God is even commanding you. The question in front of Yaakov Avinu, does he walk over 3 days of traveling to where Lavan's ranch is and say, my dear father-in-law, I think bygones have been bygones. I'm gone. I'm not going to be staying here whatsoever. But if he goes there, maybe he's going to be attacked. Maybe he's going to be confronted, and yeah, he doesn't want to do this. So first, like a good husband does, he asks his wives. He turns to his wives. He calls them Pasuk Daled, Vayikra Rachav Leah. He tells them the situation. I saw the face of your father. It's not like what it is. And then we hear the tremendous speech by the daughters, his wives, that, look, first he says to them, Ken, in Pasuk 6, Vatena Yedatem, I served your father, I worked for him with all my powers, and he's mocking me, and he's changing my salary conditions how many times? It says, Aseret Monim in verse 7, Aseret Monim, simple pshat 10 times, but if you take that the word Monim means minyan, and minyan refers to which number?
10.
So 10 times 10,
100.
100 times. This liar has changed the salary statement. That's in verse 7, gentlemen. That is one way of explaining it. And that's the pshat in Rashi, by the way. He adopts that in simple meaning. Gentlemen, after telling the speech to the girls, Yaakov has a revelation in verse 11 at Chalom, the dreams of Yaakov through revelation and prophecy, and he's told that he has to go back to Eretz Yisrael, and he's commanded. And his wives do not make any hurdles, any stumbling blocks. Just see their answer quickly in verse 14. Vatan Rachel v'Leah, their reply is, Ha'od lanu chelek v'nachala b'veit Avinu? Do you think we have some sort of financial status or portion in our father's house? Do you know what we feel? In verse 15, to our dad, we're like 2 foreigners. We're not like 2 daughters. We're not being spoiled and dawned upon with gifts from our father. We're not. Look at the wording, gentlemen, in the text in Hebrew. Halo nochriot. Gedalia, in verse 15. Halo nochriot. We're like a bunch of foreigners. And therefore, whatever wealth that we had, our father has taken it away. Therefore, if God told you we got to get going, what is their command to their husband? Look at the end of verse 16. Kol asher amar Elokim elecha, whatever God tells you, I say. That's a wife you would like to have, wouldn't you, gentlemen? Do what God tells you to do. Don't make us a consideration. We're with you. So that's where we're learning from right now. We're learning now in a consecutive way what's going to lead up eventually after the flee of Yaakov Avinu. Lavan will catch up. So let's begin learning now about the escape of Yaakov Avinu. Pasuk Yud Zayin. Vayakom Yaakov, vaysad banav, vet nashav ala gemalim. He has a mode of transportation, and it's called gemalim. He's taking his children, his wives. Maybe the children are going forward, and the wives in back of them to be protected, perhaps. I don't know if that's the only answer, but Rashi does say that the males preceded the females, and maybe that's to show a strong front. Okay, it's not a matter of women's liberation that females have to be first. Ladies first is not. It's not written. Is that Shulchan Aruch? It's not Shulchan Aruch. If you want, you can, but you don't have to. So here, the boys are front. How many boys does he have?
11.
11. How many years has he been married? Who can make an account? 7 years working for Rachel. Another 7 years again for Rachel. And now he's been there 6 years. How do I know? In the speech we're going to see soon, he's saying, I worked for you for 20 years. So the oldest children have to be 19 years old or so. 19, 18, 17, and so on and so forth. He has teenagers. And they can pose as the beginning of some sort of defense system that if he's confronted and attacked, God forbid, he has to be ready for everything. Okay? Pasuk Yud verse 18, Vayinhag et kol mikneu, all the sheep, et kol ruchusha, all his possessions. He's a wealthy man now. Asher rachash, that he's acquired, miknei kinyano, asher rachash bepadan aram, and now he's en route to where? You have a designation. You're not just going to be a homeless person. You know where you're going. Lavo Yitzchak Aviv Artza Canaan. Does anyone can understand where you think Yitzchak is living? That's obvious. Obvious. Anyone remember a city that you think he's living in? Either Beersheba or Hebron, perhaps. Either Hebron or Beersheba. We're going to see later. Okay? Now, what's happening on the ranch as Yaakov escapes? Verse 19 regarding Lavan. Velavan halach ligzoz et tzono. I'd like you to take a measuring stick and tell me the level of happiness that Lavan should have right now when he's cutting off the wool off of his sheep. If you are a shepherd and it's summertime, right? I assume that the taking off of the wool is in the summertime so that the animals are not hot. What do you do with all the wool that you just cut off?
You sell it.
You sell it. Carpeting, winter coats. What's going to be happening now to the credit system of Lavan?
It goes down.
His credit system is going to go down.
It goes up.
It's going to go up.
Why?
He's going to be making so much money. Credit. He's making deposits right now in his bank. He's paying off debts that he had perhaps before. So the time, and we can see this also by in Sefer Shmuel, when David is hiding from Shaul, and he gets to Ma'on in the southern Hebron mountains, and he meets up with a terrible person that doesn't want to help him out, who's married to Abigail, right? And in any event, this has to be a happy time for Lavan, that he's sharing the tzon. And when Lavan went out of his tent, maybe to the shacks where the tzon is, what does Rachel do? Vatignov Rachel et hatrafim asher liavia. Although in your Chumash it says he ganva, she stole. However, the commentaries say that she took it. Doesn't say that she stole it. Why do you think Onkelos, the Ger Tzedek from Rome, why do you think he's translating that Rachel took the idolatry pieces of her father and not steal it. What connotation do you get from the word stealing?
That she was doing something bad.
Something bad. However, why did she indeed take away her father's trufim, which are a type of idolatry?
To prevent him from avodah zarah.
Exactly. So maybe that's the reason that despite the Tanakh uses the word vatignov, do you see it? Uncle is translated as Rachel took it. She's not violating stealing. Come closer over here. Amram, Bachava. The chocolate's over here. Okay. Gentlemen, what's the opening word for the next pasuk? Vayignov Yaakov et Lev Lavan Harami. The same term, Geneva, stealing. Will it really be stealing? Gentlemen, this just shows you that you can't learn Torah by yourself or just with reading the Hebrew, reading the English. You must use the commentators and learn what Chazal said. Here it says Yaakov literally stole the heart of Lavan. So if you read the Torah, you say, oh, these Jewish people, they're stealing all the time. Sheker, it's a lie. Do you understand what Unclus explains in the word Vayignov Yaakov? Yaakov hid the heart of Lavan Harami. What do you mean hid? He didn't go over to his father and say, Litraot, I'm going now. And the Tanakh often uses idioms, words that were used in biblical discussions. But he didn't steal something. He just hid his departure and does not tell him. And it's obvious to you. Why he doesn't tell him, gentlemen? Is it clear to you? Huh? Did you sit on the Seder night, last Passover night? And did you read about Lavan that the author of the Haggadah brings? And there, the Lavan is quoted. Lavan bikesh la'akor et hakol. Lavan wanted to uproot everything. In other words, he wanted to demise Yaakov Avinu, make sure he doesn't believe in God, cause him to become a cheat, leave the values and morals of what he stands for, and take away all his possessions. That's what we read on the Haggadah night. When we read various verses on the mitzvah of Bikurim, and what the Midrash of Chazal say, all that is incorporated in the Haggadah. I repeat again, Lavan bikesh la'akor et hakol. Lavan wanted to uproot everything that Yaakov had. Okay? So, do you understand why Yaakov doesn't bother saying, Litro, thank you very much for the 20 years? He's afraid. He might do terrible things to him. Maybe do terrible things to him. Let's go on and see as he now escapes. Pasuk Kafala vayivrachu v'chol asher. Yaakov has left, has escaped, he and all his possessions. Vayakom vayavor tanar. Gentlemen, there's a problem. Traveling from northeast in Iraq and heading towards Eretz Canaan, there's a river, and it's called the... Anyone know?
What direction?
Of course. Wait, that's where he's staying right now. He's en route to Eretz Yisrael. He's leaving Aram Narayan. Which river he's at to cross? The Prat, the Euphrates. That's what it says. It's a major thing. To cross the Euphrates with camels, with sheep, with possessions is a big deal. Logistically, you have to meet up with the complication. And what does he do? Follow 21 in Hebrew. Vayivrachu v'chol asher lo, vayakom vayavor tanahar. He stands, he's strong, he passes the river, the Prat, the Euphrates, as Rav Sajagon explains here, like you said. Vayasam et panav hara Gilad. And now, he puts his ways on, and he's now traveling in the direction of the Giladi Mountains. Anyone remember where the Giladi Mountains are?
East from Kinneret, and a little bit to the south.
That's very good. Kol hakavod. The Giladi mountain range. Can you please, Jake, point to the Kinneret? Thank you. And just go onto the Golan for a second. And now go down south. That's the Giladi. Go down south, but on the other side.
Oh,
there you go. The Giladi Mountains is a phenomenal mountain range that expands all the way from the tip of the Kinneret, right? And going down towards what's opposite Jericho. I repeat, going down, 60, 70 kilometers or so, to the area on the east of Jericho. There is a southern side of the Gilad Mountains, and there's a northern side. Later on, when Yaakov continues, after this predicament of meeting with Lavan, it's not enough. Yes, he's going to have to meet up with Esav. And there, on an evening probably, there's the first wrestling match in the Torah. In this corner weighing, I don't know how much, is Yaakov Avinu. And in this corner weighing, I also don't know how much, is
Angel?
the Malach, exactly. The ministerial angel. And they meet up with a riverbed that breaks the northern and southern sides of the Gilad Mountains. And that's called the Yabok. The Yabok crossing. And that wrestling match happens there in Yabok. I'm going to see that, God willing, in next week's Parsha when Yaakov continues. But right now, he's facing and traveling towards the Giladi, which we all know is eastern Eretz Yisrael. What's happening back in the ranch? Pasuk Kaf 22. Vayugad Lavan bayom hashlishi. 3 days later, Kivarach Yaakov. Yaakov he gets the message that Yaakov has left. Yaakov has left and he has escaped. What does Lavan do? Vayikach et achav imo. He takes his brothers, meaning his family members. Vayirdof acharav. And now he pursues him. Now let me ask you, who's traveling faster? Yaakov and his entire entourage, or Lavan? And why?
Lavan.
Why is Lavan traveling faster?
Because he doesn't have any youngsters. And
He doesn't have youngsters,
The flock.
doesn't have flocks of sheep, doesn't have 4 wives to take. And the Torah says, how long does it take him to find him? It says, Vayirdof acharav, follow in the middle of 23, derech shivat yamim. He does it say he travels shiva yamim? No, it says he travels derech. He traveled a route of 7 days, but he did it in 1 day. Wow. The 3 days that it took someone to inform him, the 3 days to get back to the home, at 6 days, and on day 7, he meets up with him. Vayadbekoto. He glues onto him. He's on his, as we call it, on his tail. Is that the word? But here the Torah uses the word vayadbek, from the word devek, glue. Attaching. He's cleaving onto him. Where? Bahara Gilad. Now, will we or not see a confrontation? Any cursing of anything? No. Pasuk Kav Dalet, something very special happens. Vayavo Elokim el Lavan arami b'chalom alay. It's nighttime. Lavan has opened up camp. They're sleeping there at night. God appears in a dream at nighttime. Vayomer lo, and he says to him, Hishamer lecha, be careful. Pentidaber Yaakov mitov adra. I don't want you speaking to Yaakov neither good or bad. Now, I understand the instructions God's giving. I'm warning you, Lavan, don't say anything bad to Yaakov Avinu. But I would welcome, shouldn't I, to say some good things to Yaakov? Why does it say mitov va'adra? I don't know if anyone sitting here has really met up with some evil people, some wicked people. And sometimes they put on a stage and they put on a facade. What? A
Facade.
A what?
Facade.
Facade. F-A-C-A-D-E.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you think, wow, they're so lovely and so nice, but you don't know what they're planning to do to you. Again, an idiom, I'll say they're ready to stab you in your back. Even they promise this to you and that to you. It may have happened to any one of us sitting here. Chazal say, and Rashi brings it. It's a Gemara in Yesechet Yevamot, page 103. Kol tovatam shel reshaim ra'ahi etzel tzadikim. All the goodness of wicked people, on our standards, it's evil, it's bad. You cannot trust these wicked people. And therefore, God warns Lavan, I don't want you to say anything not bad,
not good,
and not good. Because I know what you think is good. What you think is good is a trick, is lying, is tricking, or white lying, and things of this nature, and so on and so forth. Okay? Let's add more light to this room of the shiur, even though there's a blackout here, electric out, whatever you want to call it. What happens to Lavan? Does he become a good boy? after he is told not to do anything bad to Yaakov Avinu. Pasuk Kafeh. Follow the reading, please. Vayaseg Lavan et Yaakov. They're now meeting. He's found him. They're on the same Gilad mountain range. V'Yaakov takat olo bahar. Just you should know on the sidelines here, Yaakov already pinched his tent, meaning with all his people on the mountain of the Gilad, not in the valley, not in the plain area, but on the mountain. And so to Lavan. V'Lavan takat echav bahara Gilad. They're not far from one another. There are different maybe sides of the mountain, but they're both on top. And now the discussion is about to happen. And I want to share with you, we've been learning the tremendous midot of Yaakov Avinu. He's acquiesced and given in to his father-in-law. How many times? At the weddings. And he worked so hard. And he probably got such little salary. And now he's been working another 6 years in a fair way. He's been making a lot of money. Yet Lavan is angry at him. And let's see what Lavan accuses of him. And let's see how Yaakov Avinu defends himself. As if we have a court case right over here. Pasuk Kava, verse 26. Vayomer Lavan Yaakov. Look what he's accusing him. Me'asita. Thank you. Vatignovet levavi. You stole my heart. Meaning, Vatenaheget benotai kishviot charev. How did you deal with my daughters? As if they're women of captivity. What did you do? What do you mean you stole my heart? You didn't tell me you're going. As if he's a nice guy. You would have given us a birthday gift, right? Or you would have sent us off with Pasuk of Zayin 27. Why did you hide in order to flee? Vatignovoti, a second time he's using the word ganav. It's interesting how thieves easily use the word stealing. He's accusing Yaakov Avinu of stealing. It's like coming out of his mouth. V'lo igadatili, why didn't you tell me? Had you told me, you know what I would have said to you? I would have made you a bon voyage party. I would have thrown a banquet. V'shalechacha. I would have sent you away. How? B'simcha. I would have ordered a band. Uveshirim with songs. B'tov with drums. Kinor with a violin or whatever. You didn't allow me. Linashek levanai v'livnotai. Gee, do you think he kisses his daughters? No, his daughters feel so estranged. That's not how a father acts. Now he's making up a story. I would have welcomed you. I would have sent you away with gifts. I would have called an orchestra, made a party. I would have kissed my daughters and my kids, my grandchildren. Ata, hiskalta, so you did something foolish. And now look. B'vakasha, gentlemen, Kaftet 29. And notice a threat. Yesh le'el yadi. Look inside. Le'el here does or does not mean God. Pasuk Kaftet, verse 29. Huh? Why does El mean godliness? Because El, and the plural is Elokim, is strength. And it can be used in an idiom. Yesh le'el yadi. He's not talking about God. I have the strength. I have the ability. I could have done this to you. And what did he say? Lasot imachem, I could have done bad things to you. However, why not? Velohei avichem is admitting, the God of your father. Emesh, yesterday night, Amari Laile Mor said to me, Hishomer lecha midaber Yaakov mitov et ra. So it's interesting how Lavan is doing some sort of, maybe some tshuva. He's quoting the godly appearance, yet he's making, of course, a claim that you stole, you did this to me, you didn't tell me, I would have done nice things to you, which is, of course, all a big lie, how we think it is, according to the midot, the character traits of Lavan. Yeah, and he says, now, let me ask you something. Had God not revealed himself to Lavan, what would have Lavan done?
But I mean, Morse is killed.
He says, I would have done, if it would not be for this angel, the God that spoke to me, I would have done harm. I would have harmed you. V'ata, now verse 30. Halo chalachti, you guys went away from me. Because you what? You have such a longing to see your father's house. And now he makes claim number 2. Lama ganafta et Elohai. He found out. His idolatry pieces are gone. And he's accusing Yaakov Avinu. And Yaakov Avinu knows or doesn't know about this? He does not know about this. Let's see how Yaakov will reply, how he defends himself. Gentlemen, Pasuk Lamed Aleph. Vayan Yaakov vayomer leLavan, and he says, he answers, Ki yareti. I'm telling you the truth. I had fear. Ki amarti, I said to myself, meaning, pen tigzolet benotecha meimi. If I would have gone to you, I'm adding words, I know who you are. You would have forced yourselves on your daughters to have them remain there. And I know why. So that I remain by you. And that you exploit and get the most out of me because you don't never had to work like I've been working day and night. Hot weathers and cold weathers. Okay? That's why I didn't tell you. And now that's claim one. That's to refute claim one. Why I didn't tell you. But Lavan made a second claim. You stole my trafim, the idolatry. Verse 32. Im asher timtza et elokecha lo yichya. Whoever you find this will not live. In other words, Yaakov is totally confident that it can't be that anyone growing up in the house of Yaakov Avinu would steal something, even if it's idolatry, from a father. And he puts everything on the table, and the Torah says at the end of the pasuk, quote, "V'lo yada Yaakov ki Rachel genavatam." He doesn't know that Rachel took it away. He doesn't know. And here Lavan goes on a search, on a very special search, inside this tent, inside that tent, and he doesn't find. And again, he goes into the oil of Rachel. And what are we told in 34? V'Rachel lakhat trafim. She took it. And where did she put it? Apparently, she took it out of the tent. That's what we're assuming. How did she able to take it out of the tent? Well, when Lavan was in the tent of Leah, Rachel took it out of her tent before the search was made. He came with a search warrant. And she put it under the pillow of the Gamal. And now where is she? She's sitting on the Gamal. Where do you think Rachel learned these tricks? From father. He's a master of the tricks of the trade. He knows how to steal, be conceited, be lying, deceiving. Okay? Vayimashesh Lavan makes a search. Wow, look how devoted he is, how dedicated he is. El kola ovel, but he doesn't find it. Okay? And then she makes up a reason that she can't move off of her gamal because she's having her menstrual cycle. And now the situation is Yaakov Avinu gets angry. And this, of course, is what? Been accumulating. And now he has no choice but to tell Lavan off. Let's read it. Vayichal Yaakov. Yaakov is angered. Vayarav beLavan. And he's quarreling with Lavan. Vayan Yaakov, and he says to Lavan, Ma pishi, what is my crime? Ma chatati, what is my sin? Okay? Ki dalakta acharai. In other words, until now, all the encounters we learn about Yaakov Avinu is a master of great midot. We never saw him being strict, critical, or angered at anyone. Okay? Even though Lavan did a terrible thing by switching his wife. Okay? That's number one. And now, even when he gets angry, do you see any disgraceful words coming out of his mouth? Nothing. Okay? And therefore, there's a famous midrash that says, gentlemen, look at the kapdanut of the avot. Look at then when they're strict and when they're critical about things, you'll notice that they're still gentle. And you notice that they still have humility. And that'll be the great traits and attributes of Am Yisrael, the great humility, the great busha, gemilut chasadim. And now, what we're doing here right now, gentlemen, is going to understand, after Lavan pursues after Yaakov Avinu, and now we begin reading the claim of Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu will basically answer three claims. Listen to this, gentlemen. Three claims of Lavan. Number one, the claim of Geneva, of stealing. Number two, he's basically saying that maybe you owe me money. Maybe you owe me contracts, this or that. And number 3, who really owes who money? Let's now see the beginning of the answers. Regarding the claim of thievery in verse 37, you made a warrant search. You checked every vessel. You checked everything. Why did you check my kelim? Because maybe you thought I stole other things. Right now you're checking me to see if I have your trofim, your idolatry parts. So why does the Yaakov mention you've searched all my kelim? Because maybe the search of Lavan has widened to all the kelim of Yaakov because maybe he thinks he stole some of his kelim. And he's just emptiness, making claims. Did you find anything? Mikol klei beitecha? Did you find anything of the kelim of your house? Do you see how Yaakov understands that Lavan is looking and searching for things that maybe Yaakov took out of his house? Do you find anything of your kelim of your house? Put it here, Simko, put it over here. Neged achai v'achecha, let your brothers, my brothers and your brothers see, and it'll prove amongst us. And now he gives them a piece of his mind in 38. How many years have I been working for you? Ze esrim shana. Here it is. 7 for the first wife, 7 for the same first wife, and now 6 years, but being more of an independent person, 3 days distant from him. 20 years I've been with you. Now, gentlemen, what happens in 20 years if you are a shepherd? Do you think there are miscarriages? Yes or no?
Yes.
Of course there should be. Do you think that the wild animals overcome you, that you can't matter? And let's say a wild animal does come. Give me a name of a big animal. Hyena.
Bear.
A bear. Can a human being face up to a bear? No. What is it called halachically if I'm hired by Amram to watch his possessions and something which is out of my control, out of my power, overcomes me? Will I or will I not have to pay for the item I'm watching?
You won't pay.
I will not have to pay. What is that called in halacha? What is it called in halacha? If I'm meeting up with a situation, he wants to litigate me and charge that I'm criminal, I am negligent, this is called a case of duress. Something that's out of your control, out of your power. In halacha, in Hebrew, it's called ones. Unfortunately, the same word is also used for raping. Ones, which is duress.
No, you do money to the Bedin, right?
So if in the case of ones, that animals much stronger than me overcame, would I or would I not have to pay up for the eaten animal that belongs to you? What's an eaten up animal? It's called a treifa, right? Taref, treifa. Look at the claims now of Yaakov Avinu, what he did, what he didn't do. Gentlemen, verse 38, Lamed Chet. You can take a chumash there and we're studying Tanakh. Ze esrim shana. It's 20 years anochi imach. Rechelecha v'izecha, your lambs and your goats, lo shikelu. Did you hear that? Not one of the mother animals ever miscarried. Ve'elei tzoncha lo achalti. Now look, the terms of being a roet zone is that once in a while I let you take. Let me ask you something. You're picking fruit for someone in his grove. What are you allowed to do halachically?
To eat there.
You eat there, right? You can pick some fruit and eat it there. What are you not allowed to do?
Take it home.
You're not allowed to take it home. Explicit in the Torah, in the book of Devarim. It's usually understood regarding shepherds that if you're watching the sheep and the goats for such a long time, you're allowed to take one, slaughter it, and make a mangal, and make a barbecue and eat it. It's usually accepted. Look at what happens here, what he says. Not only did none of the mother animals miscarriage, the best lambs of 2 years old and more, I never took advantage of workers' rights, of employment's rights. I never ate any of them. Furthermore, I never brought to you the next morning an animal that was torn apart by give me an example. Lion, wolf. You know what? And if it would be anochi achaten, I would pay up. Wow. I would pay up even though it was eaten by
Wild animal.
A wild animal, which is a case of onus, duress, out of my control. I should be patur from monetary payments. However, Yaakov acted with, what do you call this attribute? To go above and beyond the halacha?
Chassid.
Chassidut. Chassidut is chesed, kindness. To go above and beyond the halacha. That's what he says. Even though I didn't have to pay you, know what I did the next day? I came and paid you up for the animal that was eaten up. Did he have to do it? No. And this is he's doing for 20 years. Genufti yom u genufti laila. What does that mean? Gentlemen, there's usually an understanding that if at nighttime, someone Bedouins penetrated into your farm, and they stole animals at nighttime when there's not so much shemirah, you, the ro'eh, the shepherd, would be exempt. But you know what I did? I also paid you back when it was stolen at night, just as if it was stolen during the day. That's how Chizkuni explains. What about cold temperatures and hot weathers when there's the Chamsin? Pasuk Mem, verse 40. I mean, look at the labor union's rights. When the temperature is so much, you don't have to watch the animals. He never used these labor union rights. Look at Pasuk Mem, verse 40. Hayiti vayom. I was there during the day watching your sheep. Achalani chorev. The heat devoured me. Vikerach, and it was so frozen balayla. Vatidar shanatim, and I didn't even get regular sleep in order to watch your animals. Gentlemen, a further claim, but now regarding, let's make a cheshbon. Let's make an account. Who owes who money? Pasuk Mem Aleph, verse 41. Zeli, this matter for me, has been esrim shana, 20 years of employment. Biveitecha. Does he mean in your house or for your house? Biveitecha. Huh?
In your house.
And he's not working inside his house. He's working on behalf of the house, the estate. Avadaticha, I worked arba'isrei shana b'shtei v'notecha. You see the gentleman? 14 years for your two daughters. V'shei shanim b'tzonach, and 6 years with your sheep in order to be independent. I'm adding. V'tachlefet maskuti aseret monim. You changed my salary statement 10 times, or we said 10 times 10, which is 100 times. Had it not been for God, Lulei Elokei Aviv Elokei Avram Upachad Yitzchak, what would have happened to me? I would not have survived. My friends, what saved Yaakov Avinu? He mentions here the merit of God and the merit of his father and grandfather. There are 3 things involved why Yaakov was steadfast, why he was able to withstand the difficulties of liars. And he mentions it here in verse 42. Number 1, it's the merit of my father and grandfather, Avram Avinu and Yitzchak Avinu. Number 2, it's because God involved himself. And number 3, I didn't sit there twiddling my fingers. I made, what is that called? How do you say the word for making efforts? I made ishtadlut. Excellent. I made the efforts. Okay? Gentlemen, this matter that we say how Yaakov Avinu is handling his claims in such a clear way of exonerating himself. I didn't do anything bad to you. I did more above and beyond for you. Of making claims that basically you owe me money. I didn't lie to you. You lied to me 100 times. Furthermore, you should really owe me money, right? Because of all the wrongdoings you did to me. That's what he's saying. When a Jew gets to the Galut and meets up with Gentiles that are not so gentle, you have to know how to stand up and defend yourself. Notice that even when he was angry, no curse words. He doesn't lose his mind and sense. Often when a person gets angry, his heartbeat increases, his blood pressure rises, his emotions overtake his intellect. Yet here we see that even when Yaakov Avinu, the only time that I remember in the Mikra and the Chumash that stated that he got angry, he doesn't lose his sense, his common sense, his rational thinking, his defending himself and his wives and his grandchildren. And even though he says all of this, what does Lavan respond? Gentlemen, what a Balgaiva, what a man of audacity. What does he say in verse 43? hard to understand his answer. Vayan Lavan responds in Vayomer Yaakov, and he says to Yaakov, Habanot binotai, the girls are mine. Vabanim banai, the children, mean the grandchildren, they're mine as well. Vatzon tzoni, what a liar, huh? And the sheep is mine as well. V'chol asher ata roeh lihu, what a liar. What a liar, even is being told off. V'livnotai, what will I do for my daughters today? He's trying, some explain the pshat here, that Lavan, is he really nullifying all the claims of Yaakov Avinu? Or is he just basically saying, everything is mine? He talks in a very boastful manner, and he really doesn't have a claim, but he says, what are you going to do for my daughters? He says, as if he's afraid. Some good fathers are afraid when they marry their daughters, what? Will they have parnasa? Will they not have parnasa? Usually the job of a father-in-law is let them be alone, let them do what they have to do. If they need help, you help them out. But don't have to worry, okay? Here he's worrying, what's going to be for my daughters today, or their children they're going to give birth. And therefore he offers to make a treaty. Pasuk Mem Daled, verse 44, V'ata, and now, Lecha, let's go. Nichrata v'rit. Let's make a covenant, an agreement. Ani va'ata. I and you. Well, what is the covenant about? Vayalein, and this will be testimony beini uvinach, between both of us. What is the? Let's go on, because we're getting to the end of the parsha. Yaakov takes a stone, and he builds and raises a matzeva, a monument, and there's now two sides to the agreement, and they're making a heap of stones, and they're having a meal there, and they're calling the area of the agreement Gilad, which is a play on words for which mountain range? Gilad. Gal is a heap, and aid is testimony, witness, right? And the agreement that they make is in verse 50, 51, you're not allowed to afflict my daughters. If you take other women, you're gonna worry for them, and so on and so forth. No one passes this gal to do terrible things. Although we don't have a lot of time, I wanna try to understand Yaakov Avinu. Why, if you know this guy is a cheat, this guy is a liar, why make an agreement with him? Why is Yaakov ready to enter into an agreement with him, in spite of the fact that this guy is such a wicked guy? You don't usually make agreements and trust their words and so on and so forth, do you? Yet, if we look back, who made an agreement with the king of the Plishtim? Avram Avinu. Who also make an agreement with the king of the Plishtim? Yeah. And what would you say about the character traits of the king of the Plishtim? A bunch of liars also, a bunch of cheats. They caused so much trouble to Yitzchak, stealing the wells of water and then stuffing them up and so on and so forth. So we ask a question, why do this? And that's what this is a very important point. Does anyone know the nickname of Sefer Breshit? It's called Sefer HaYashar. It's a Gemara, and it's related to in Sefer Yoshua. What does the word HaYashar mean? What do you think it reflects? The midot, the character traits of Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and their wives, of course. What does it mean to be straight? Do you remember what Avraham did when 3 Arab idolaters visited him on day 3 after the Brit Milah? What did he do?
He jumped up and fed them food.
Right. He bowed down to them as well. He submitted himself, he humbled himself before others. He didn't have to do that. But what we're learning from the Avot is such tremendous qualities of trying to bring harmony, peace to the world, trying to bring bracha to the world, that even if people don't deserve it, they want to promote that this human society be a better world. For whom did Yaakov pray before they were destroyed? On what type of people? The worst of the world, living where? No. What did God send an angel to destroy? Which area? Sodom and Gomorrah. What did the Torah tell us about those people, quote, Ra'im v'chata'im laHashem me'od. They're evil and they're sinful to God in a very tremendous way. So why pray for them? I believe in man. I believe in mankind. What does that mean? I believe that men can make corrections. They can always do tshuva. Avram Avinu loves mankind. He loves mankind. He is a lover of God. And if mankind is the creations of God, he believes that man can turn things around. And therefore, Yeshayahu, we read 2 weeks ago. We don't have time to do the Haftarah this week. But we read 3 weeks ago in Yeshayahu that Isaiah calls this nation, quote, Zerah Avraham Ohavi. I repeat, Zerah, the seed of Avraham Ohavi. What is Ohavi? My lover. That's the great attribute of Avraham Avinu. He's a lover of God. He loves man. Yaacov Avinu, the grandson, he's ready to make a brit, even someone who's such a rasha. But one more point, because he believes in man, but one more point. He just rebuked him. He put him in his place. Okay? It's not clear to us. Did he accept all the rebuke? Did he accept all the words of the speech? And there are those that disagree with this bichlal. I don't know if you remember the famous Rashbam. I think we taught it in our Parsha Shir. Do you remember what the Rashbam says about why Avraham Avinu was tested with the Akedah?
Because he didn't offer to Hashem.
Because Avraham Avinu made a mistake by entering into a covenant with the Plishtim. We're not going to overtake you for 4 generations. You don't do that. That's called the Oslo Accord, right? That's called the Oslo Accord. Agreeing to give land and let them control it. So according to the Rashbam, who was of course the famed grandson of Rashi, he said there, do you know why this Smichut Parshiot, these 2 sections are connected together? The Akedah, Yitzchak being tied on Mount Moriah, and the section of Avram making a covenant with Plishtim? The answer is Avram was given the difficult test of the Akedah because he made the agreement with the Plishtim and he shouldn't have done this. Today, we too are learning our lessons as a nation, that we can't make any agreements with our enemies that want to destroy us. And even if they didn't want to destroy us, we're not allowed but to be sovereign leaders over every piece of land in this land of God. The land, many explain, is not merchandise. The land is like your mother. You don't sell your mother, do you? So to the land of Israel, we don't sell to anyone. It's not for sale. Baruch Hashem, we're seeing the truth rising and rising, and Am Yisrael's rising like lions in every needed time. B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to see that more and more land of the Gaza Strip will be in our hands right now. 58 to 60% is in our hands. We're going to see even more, God willing. Amen.
Amen.
Shakaya.